Good evening, and welcome to the latest happenings inside our federal machine.
It's Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. This is Spathon with another episode of The Swamp. Today, President Trump signs and ratifies the Board of Peace Charter, officially creating a new international organization known as the Board of Peace. President Trump made the announcement that the United States will formally be submitting a bid to host the World Expo for the year 2035, which will be held in Miami, Florida, and President Trump tapped Secretary Marco Rubio to serve as the chairman. And all 12 appropriations bills have officially passed the House of Representatives. Bill H.R. 7147 was passed to secure funding for the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as well as other DHS agencies, securing $10 billion in funding for ICE alone for fiscal year 2026. However, these bills will be heading to the Senate, and the Democrats have already threatened to shut down the government over ICE funding. Nakima Levy Armstrong played a key role in the church riots in St. Paul, Minnesota, and she has been arrested by the FBI along with others. And Vice President J.D. Vance visited Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Toledo, Ohio today, where he spoke on the ongoing violence against federal agents, as well as economic policies and tax growth. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gave a statement during a committee hearing where she spoke on healthcare monopolies and our need to break them up. And there's a lot more that happened today, so we're going to dive straight in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like along the way if you get a second, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the daily updates. And if you leave a comment below, I just might read it on tomorrow's episode. And every article you'll see in this video will be linked directly below in the description. And we are going to start right here with U.S. Senior Advisor for Arab and African Affairs. Today marks a historic step for peace. With President Trump's vision and leadership, the Board of Peace Charter has been signed and ratified. This American-led initiative brings together nations and partners from all backgrounds to deliver real solutions where others have stalled. The board will unlock progress in Gaza and serve as a model for resolving conflicts worldwide. The Peace President is leading us into a new era of action and hope. And this is from the White House. President Donald J. Trump signs and ratifies the Board of Peace Charter, officially making the Board of Peace an international organization. The Peace Presidents. Take a look.
Congratulations, President Trump. The charter is now in full force, and the Board of Peace is now an official international organization.
Oh, congratulations to President Trump and all the world leaders who signed up for being on the Board of Peace. That was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, of course, who was up there on the podium, congratulating the president and everyone else in attendance. And we're going to roll right to the next thing from Secretary Marco Rubio, honored by the president's appointment to serve as chair for the World Expo 2035 bid. The event is an incredible stage to showcase our nation's golden age and American exceptionalism before the world. There's nothing quite like Miami hospitality, and it would be a privilege to bring the World Expo back to the United States for the first time since 1962. It's been a long time coming. And from the White House, let me see. Okay, so it looks like it's going to all be included up here. I don't want to skip any words. It looks like they got it all up here word for word. So I'm just going to read right here from the top. President Donald J. Trump's Truth Social post reads as follows. Today, I am announcing the United States' intention to bid for the World Expo 2035. The great state of Florida has expressed strong interest in hosting the expo in Miami, which I fully support. Miami Expo 2035 can be the next big milestone in our new golden age of America. I'm appointing Miami native Secretary of State Marco Rubio to chair the efforts of coordinating and advancing this exciting opportunity to convene the world. We will create thousands of jobs and add billions of dollars in growth to our economy. In my first term as president, I fought hard to bring the 2026 FIFA World Cup and 2028 LA Summer Olympics to the USA. I now have the honor of hosting as the 47th president plus America 250, the G20 Doral, and the G7. I look forward to winning and participating in the Miami Expo 2035. President Donald J. Trump. So that is another big milestone that he's looking to get across the finish line. Man, we're hosting all kinds of stuff coming up over the next 10 years. Especially so if we get that bid, which I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. I mean, hell, it's only been since 1960 freaking 2 since we've had the Expo. All right, so we're moving on to Mario Diaz-Balart. 12 out of 12 appropriations bills done. House GOP and House Appropriations GOP are delivering on our promise to the American people, restoring regular order, cutting waste, supporting our troops, protecting the homeland, and strengthening national security. And from House Appropriations, H.R. 7148 and 7147 have passed the House. With America's heroes, emergency readiness, biomedical research, and world-class transportation at the forefront, appropriators are building a strong America First future. This package finishes the job delivering full-year fiscal year 2026 funding for all 12 bills. And this is going to be on appropriations.house.gov. Today, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 7148. The consolidated, oh, nope, didn't mean to click on that, but I'll leave that up because this is the bill in its entirety. 954 pages, by the way. That's a hell of a big bill. So much for just simple bills, as the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, I don't know why I was drawing a blank for a second. He said that the bills that they're going to be passing this year are going to be, simple, to the point. We're not going to be passing these super bills, super packages, omnibus bills. But that one, 900, almost 1,000 pages. Okay, I guess. So anyway, they passed H.R. 7148, the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2026, with a vote of 341 to 88. And also H.R. 7147, which is the Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Act 2026, with a vote of 220 to 207. Big shocker. This package of appropriations bills, like the 8 already passed through this chamber, was negotiated, finalized, and delivered through a member-driven bicameral process. Together, these measures lock in decisive 2026 investments that strengthen America's military, secure the border, enhance emergency preparedness, reinforce education and health systems, and modernize transportation safety and infrastructure nationwide. With the passage of this final package, the House of Representatives have completed its constitutional duty and passed all 12 appropriations measures for fiscal year 2026. Congress is replacing Biden-era spending with disciplined Republican-led funding that puts America first. These bills advance President Trump's agenda, empowers his cabinet to govern effectively, and codify DOGE-backed reforms to eliminate waste, duplication, and unchecked federal spending. This is a clean break from the dysfunction of the past. No bloated Christmas omnibuses, no unreviewable backroom bill dumps, and no more leverage of partisan government shutdown for the rest of the fiscal year. Republicans are restoring regular order, enforcing fiscal accountability, and proving that Congress can work on results and on principle. That is the leadership the American people expect, and that is exactly what this moment delivers. And it goes on from there. There's a little bit left from Chairman Tom Cole, who gave a statement, which you can read by clicking the link below. Again, it's going to be appropriations.house.gov. And we're going to roll on to the next thing. RNC research, 206 Democrats just voted against funding the Department of Homeland Security, including funding for our brave law enforcement officers. Is anybody surprised by this? I mean, of course not. Frankly, I'm surprised that 7 Democrats voted yes. And of course, 213 Republicans voted yes. Only 1 voted no. If you follow politics daily, you could probably take a wild guess as to who voted no on this. If you guessed Rep. Thomas Massey, you would be correct. And we're going to roll to this one. Breaking, the House votes 220 to 207 to pass the DHS funding bill, which also funds TSA and FEMA and etc. Only 7 Democrats voted with the GOP. And these are the Democrats listed that did vote to pass that bill. Which, by the way, FEMA, remember when the Democrats were screaming about how FEMA wasn't being funded because the Republican shutdown, even though it was the Democrat shutdown, clearly. And they were screaming about how we're in the middle of hurricane season. Well, to be fair, Republicans were saying the same thing too, but Democrats were trying to take ownership of that messaging. And now they just voted, all of them, except for 7, voted against funding FEMA entirely. So welcome to Clown World. The only GOP to vote no was Massey. Of course, it was Thomas Massey. And we got this from Elizabeth Warren. The budget deal in Congress will give ICE another $10 billion. Absolutely not. ICE is out of control. We must stop this rogue agency's dangerous abuses of power, not bankroll it. And yours truly, you left the border wide open for years. This $10 billion in taxpayers funding is, this $10 billion taxpayers are losing is your fault. Man, I'm speaking like shit today. All right, so heading to the next one, another Democrat, Senator John Hickenlooper. I'm a no on the DHS funding bill that allows ICE to keep terrorizing our communities. ICE's conduct this past year is beyond comprehension. Now, Trump is asking Congress for more funding. No way. So what about FEMA, dude? What about TSA? What about all of the other agencies that fall under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security. So you're just going to vote no blanket across all of it, which they're going to have to do because it encompasses ICE and Customs and Border Protection and all the other enforcement agencies. I don't know if it includes the DEA, and the ATF. I assume that all of that falls under Homeland Security. I'm not 100% on that, but let's hear him out.
What we're seeing in Minneapolis is beyond comprehension. ICE shot and killed Renee Good, a mother of 3.
Yeah, after she hit an agent with her vehicle, causing internal bleeding into his abdomen, which was confirmed by Homeland Security, an official government organization, agency, by the way.
In her own car. Parents are being arrested when they drop their kids off at the school bus stop. Officers in unmarked cars and masks are indiscriminately arresting people based on the language they speak, their accent, or color of their skin. They are detaining
Wrong.
This is not what a safe city looks like.
I mean, this dude can't even say the shit with a straight face. Detaining citizens, yeah, the ones who are obstructing law enforcement agents.
Terrified to go to school. Families can't go to the grocery store. It is truly horrifying. Now the Trump administration is asking
and
Congress
propaganda
to continue to fund ICE. Let me make it clear. The Department of Homeland Security funding bill doesn't go far enough to restrain ICE's lawlessness. And it's not just Minnesota. This administration is continuing to target Colorado and other blue states. We have to do more. So I'm a no on the bill in its current form until we begin to put some restraints on ICE.
So in other words, he's voting to defund FEMA. He's voting to defund all of the other agencies under Homeland Security. So if I were Republicans, I would run with that messaging because that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, he could say they're voting to defund ICE, but ICE is only just one of probably over a dozen different entities that fall underneath Homeland Security's funding. So I don't know. We'll see how they handle that. It sounds like we got another government shutdown looming because it's heading to the Senate. And you know, if it's a repeat of what happened over the fall, they're going to need 60 votes. Do you think that they're going to get enough Democrats to vote? How many do they need? 7? I think they need 7 Democrat senators to vote on not the ICE bill, as the Democrats would love to word it. It's the funding for Homeland Security. So anyway, all right. So we got this from Attorney General Pamela Bondi minutes ago at my direction. The HSI HQ, Homeland Security Investigations, and FBI agents executed an arrest in Minnesota. So far, we have arrested Nakima Levy Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. We will share more updates as they become available. Listen loud and clear. We do not tolerate attacks on places of worship, period. And she posted an update about 10 hours ago as of this recording. A second arrest has been made at my direction. Chantil Louisa Allen has been taken into custody. More to come. We will protect our houses of worship. And she's got another update 7 hours ago. Update, William Kelly, he's now in custody. Our nation was settled and founded by people fleeing religious persecution. Religious freedom is the bedrock of this country. We will protect our pastors. We will protect our churches. We will protect Americans of faith. And I believe they're being charged under the FACE Act, which prohibits intimidation in houses of worship. It's intimidation. Then there's other language like assault, terroristic threats, and other things of that nature. So I believe they're being charged under that, which I believe it was passed back in the 1990s, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they're in custody, arrested by the FBI. And this is from Secretary Kristi Noem. Homeland Security investigators and FBI agents arrested Nakima Levy Armstrong, who played a key role in orchestrating the church riots in St. Paul, Minnesota. She's being charged with a federal crime under 18 U.S.C. 241. Religious freedom is the bedrock of the United States. Copy paste. There is no First Amendment right to obstruct someone from practicing their religion. There she is, under arrest. And if you need proof that she was in attendance at this riot, or this demonstration, as the progressives would like to put it, we will take a look at that. I believe it's coming up next. Yep, right here. Breaking. Nakima Levy Armstrong is in FBI custody for her role in storming the church. This is on End Wokeness. And let's take a look at that with Don Lemon.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
Brain dead. This ain't a business. It's a house of worship, asshole.
Demanding justice for Renee Good and letting them know that this will not.
This is not how you get it done, dude. You don't interrupt houses of worship. I mean, obviously, she's not a Christian. All right, so the White House, we do not tolerate attacks on places of worship. And this is on AG Pam Bondi. Okay, so I already read this. We will protect our houses of worship. And roll on to the next. Another one from Attorney General Pamela Bondi. I already read that one too. So I came across these at different times because when I go through all my lists and everything that was posted by the government today, obviously this was posted 10 hours ago. The follow-up, another one was posted 7 hours ago. So I picked them up at different points during the day. So, and at the end, I only have a limited amount of time to try to organize everything together. So, every once in a while that happens. I end up posting or compiling the same post more than once. But anyway, we'll move on. So Tricia McLaughlin, they have an administrative warrant. Administrative warrants have been used for decades and recognized by the Supreme Court and lower courts. So what is she talking about? So from the Associated Press, breaking immigration officers are asserting sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's warrant, a memo obtained by AP says. And I will give that a link for you in the description. And, well, you know what? Here, let me read just the beginning part of this. All right, so in Washington, federal immigration officers are asserting sweeping power to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant, according to an internal Immigration and Customs Enforcement memo obtained by the Associated Press, marking a sharp reversal of longstanding guidance meant to respect constitutional limits on government searches. The memo authorizes ICE officers to use force to enter a residence based solely on a more narrow administrative warrant to arrest someone with a final order of removal, a move that advocates say collides with the Fourth Amendment protections and upends years of advice given to immigrant communities. Well, look, I think that if they have a fixed address that they have assigned themselves to and they have a final order of removal, I mean, that should all be encompassed in the order of removal, wherever you are, even if you're in your own private home. Yeah, they should have every right to come in and get you. All right, so the shift comes as the Trump administration dramatically expands immigration arrests nationwide, deploying thousands of officers under a mass deportation campaign that is already reshaping enforcement tactics in cities such as Minneapolis. And, okay, well, yeah, there is actually more following that. So anyway, this will be linked below. Of course, you'll get that pop-up. The AP trying to get you to subscribe. Give them money. So anyway, let me start this over one more time. So they have an administrative warrant. Administrative warrants have been used for decades by the Supreme Court and lower courts. In every case that DHS uses an administrative warrant to enter a residence, an illegal alien has already had their full due process and a final order of removal by a federal immigration judge. The officer also has probable cause. So there you have it. But there's more on this from Scott Greenfield. Oh, wait, did I skip one over? No, I didn't. Okay, just double checking. So the Supreme Court has never held that an administrative warrant is sufficient to satisfy the Fourth Amendment and permit entry into a house. That's what he says. And Homeland Security, if an illegal alien has a final deportation order from an immigration judge and they refuse to leave, they are a fugitive from justice. In every case, we serve an administrative warrant. There is probable cause, and the illegal alien has had full due process and a final order of removal. Every illegal alien who DHS serves administrative warrants /I-205s have had full due process and a final order of removal from an immigration judge. Administrative warrants have been used for decades, and the Supreme Court and Congress have recognized the propriety of administrative warrants in cases of immigration enforcement. So I think I'll take Homeland Security's word over whoever this dude is, Scott Greenfield. 21K followers, criminal defense lawyer. Okay, so he's a defense lawyer. I mean, I would rather hear that from someone who's on the prosecution side, but that's just me. So, yeah, to be fair, he does follow up with this. Payton versus New York, 1980. The Fourth Amendment prohibits the police from making a warrantless and non-consensual entry into a suspect's home in order to make a routine felony arrest. Well, I don't think that falls under what we're talking about. I'm sure that is largely pertaining to American citizens, probably not involving immigration judges and administrative warrants. I mean, look, if the Supreme Court has already heard cases on administrative warrants and they sided with the government on it, then, they're good to go. And who was it? Tricia McLaughlin and who was the other one? I think it was just Tricia McLaughlin. She said it's been upheld by the Supreme Court in the past, so it probably has. All right, so Chad Mizell, final order of removal equals due process complete. At that point, evading ICE isn't activism, it's being a fugitive. All right, so we're going to move on to Vice President J.D. Vance. He gave a couple of speeches today, and here's a long, I don't usually read the quotes, but I'll read this one. Quote, I think that we are on the cusp of the greatest economic year in the history of the United States of America because we're doing something new for a change. We're investing in you, and we're saying to everybody that the United States is open for business, but only if you invest in our great American people.
We're 1 year in to raising wages for workers instead of declining wages for workers. We're 1 year in to $18 trillion of new investment for the United States of America instead of investment going to every other country but the United States of America. We're 1 year in to getting illegal aliens
Toledo,
out of
Ohio.
our country so that American homes can go to American citizens, which is exactly where they ought to go. And we are 1 year in to seeing lower inflation and bigger paychecks and more opportunity for the American worker. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we are on the cusp of the greatest economic year in the history of the United States of America because we're doing something new for a change. We're investing in you. We're investing in American workers. We're investing in American businesses, and we're saying to everybody that the United States is open for business, but only if you invest in our great American people and our great American businesses. We are done with the old approach of shipping American jobs overseas and investing in everybody else. We're back
God willing,
to investing in the American worker, and we're not going to stop fighting for you until we return America to the true golden age of great American prosperity.
Hell yeah, man. Couldn't say it better myself. Okay, well, we got more. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. When there's no cooperation between state and local agencies and federal law enforcement, chaos erupts. You're not seeing chaos during ICE operations in states like Texas, Louisiana, or Florida. Why? Because those states work with ICE to arrest and deport criminal illegal aliens.
We can do
this is in Minnesota today.
Enforcing our immigration laws without the chaos, but it actually requires the cooperation of state and local officials. If you look at blue cities and blue states, red cities and red states, you go to Austin, Texas, or Memphis, Tennessee. You go to the state of Texas, obviously a very red state, or the state of Tennessee, a very red state, but you've got blue cities within those states, you do not have this level of chaos. The reason why things have gotten so out of hand is because of failure of cooperation between the state and local authorities and what these guys are trying to do. We have a ton of resources, a ton of ICE agents in this city right now that I would rather us not have. I'd love to send those guys home. They're not even doing targeted immigration enforcement. They are trying to protect ICE officers who are doing immigration enforcement, because when a crowd surrounds them and these guys call 911, the local officials, the local cops have been told to stand down. So we have people here who aren't even doing immigration enforcement, they're doing force protection. So that if a rioter tries to ruin the life or assault an ICE officer, they're actually protected. Now, why doesn't it make more sense for the local cops to get involved in that situation?
Sick of these
why not
games,
just have
man.
the mayor or the local officials tell the police officers, you know what, if an ICE officer is being assaulted by a far-left agitator, you are invited, you should actually help them. That's what would work out in any normal situation, and that's what happens in nearly every jurisdiction, red or blue, in the United States of America. The reason it hasn't happened here is because the local authorities have been told, stand down, do not help ICE, promote the violence, promote the agitation, but don't do anything to lower the temperature and lower the chaos. That's a problem. Here's another example of how the lack of cooperation between state and local officials makes it harder for us to do our job and turns up the temperature. Let's say, for example, we have a criminal migrant who is a sex offender. And let's say that we've got to go and arrest that person who, Democrat or Republican, wants a sex offender living in their community. I would assume, I would hope that most people don't. But because they're an illegal alien, we don't know their last address. We may have known their address 3 years ago, but we don't know their address now. What we'd like to do is talk to local officials and say, you know what, according to the Medicaid rolls, where was the last address this person was domiciled? Or according to a SNAP application, a food stamps application, maybe that could give us insight to where this person is.
It's insane
today.
they're getting welfare
or maybe
anyway.
They had some local court trouble.
Not even
You go to
American
the local
citizens.
Courthouse or even the local jail.
That's something that Republicans should
where
undo.
This criminal sex offender is today.
If you're not an American citizen, you get no welfare of any form.
So these guys are trying to go out and enforce the law. They're trying to arrest sex offenders, but they're trying to do it in an environment where local officials have been told, do not help them, do not provide intelligence about where these sex offenders might be. This is disgraceful.
All right, man. And JD Vance, man, he's on fire today. I mean, he might have been looking at a prompter, but it sure didn't sound like it. All right, so JD Vance, our plan is very simple. If you storm a church or assault a federal officer, we're going to do everything we can to put you in prison.
Right now we're focused on Minneapolis because that's where we have the highest
loud.
concentration of people who have violated our immigration laws, and that's also, frankly, where we see the most assault of our law enforcement officers. I mean, our plan is very simple. If you assault a federal law enforcement officer, we're going to do everything that we can to put you in prison. It's very simple. And most of these protesters,
same with obstruction, dude.
As much as I may disagree with their politics,
it
most
carries
of
up
them
to 8
have
years
been
in prison if they just simply obstruct.
But a lot of them have not been peaceful. And if you go and storm a church, if you go and assault a federal law enforcement officer, we're going to try very hard. We're going to use every resource of the federal government to put you in prison. Respect people's rights. Respect people's rights to worship. Respect people's rights to do their job without being assaulted.
Yeah, don't forget the popular majority voted for this.
The Trump administration is going to do everything that we can to
Not that
protect your
Democrats
rights.
give a
But
shit.
if you go after somebody, if you assault somebody, if you make a 9-year-old girl cry because you walked into her church and harassed her, we're going to go after you with every single tool that we have. Right now we're focused
Amen.
on...
All right. Do I have another? Yes, I do. So let's see. It's a long, okay, so talking about a 5-year-old who the left says was arrested, but he wasn't. And we're going to get to that, I think, next. Yeah. So that's going to come up next. So I'll just go ahead and play this first.
Here is alleging ICE agents detaining a 5-year-old after preschool on Tuesday. We've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE or harassed by ICE in the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown?
Yeah, that was a very loaded question. Of course, he's paying attention to mainstream Democrat talking points. What happened was that 5-year-old was collected by ICE agents because the 5-year-old's father took off running. He took off running, and agents went and chased after him, and he left his 5-year-old behind.
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're
Only a retarded-ass freaking card-carrying Democrat would actually believe that law enforcement are arresting 5-year-olds. They're full-on retarded, man.
Law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic
That's not me. That's
event.
the
And I
freaking
see
video.
this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh, my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up
We don't.
research.
That's
And what
stupid.
I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran.
He ran.
So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second. We don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it, and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer.
Assaulting.
You can't have that happen.
Ran
And
them
of
with their
course they
vehicles.
have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now,
bunch of brain
this is my
deadery.
point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all. But if we had a little
want to arrest him in
cooperation
jail, man.
from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
All right. Yep. So yeah, we're gonna get to that. I kept noticing the radar down below. Apparently that winter storm's already started. I thought it wasn't gonna really kick into high gear till tomorrow. Maybe it won't. Like maybe tomorrow's the big day. But I'm not gonna be affected. I live in the Tampa Bay area. I probably shouldn't share what the weather's gonna be like here. It's gonna be like 80 degrees all weekend. So, but anyway, so we'll get to that at the end. I've actually got a few posts about the winter storm, and it looks like a doozy. All right, so this is from the Democrats. In Minneapolis, ICE arrested a 5-year-old coming home from preschool and tried to use him as human bait. His teacher describes him as a bright young student. These monsters are sick. No, it's the Democrats who are truly sick. Sick, twisted, deranged, psychopathic, Trump derangement syndrome. You could use whatever buzzword you want against the Democrats. They fit all the above. All right, so from Homeland Security, ICE did not target a child. The child was abandoned. On January 20th, ICE conducted a targeted operation to arrest Adrian Alexander Conejao Arias, an illegal alien from Ecuador who was released into the U.S. by the Biden administration. As agents approached the driver, Adrian Arias fled on foot, abandoning his child. For the child's safety, one of our ICE officers remained with the child while the other officers apprehended Conejao Arias. Parents were asked if they want to be removed with their children, or ICE will place the children with a safe person the parent designates. This is consistent with past administrations' immigration enforcement. I'm surely Obama and Biden. So parents can take control of their departure and receive a free flight and $2,600 with the CBP Home app. By using the CBP Home app, illegal aliens reserve the chance to come back the right legal way, as I've said. I've said that several times. If they self-deport, even if they're here illegally, by self-deporting, you can put yourself on a path to come back to the U.S. legally. All right, so we already got that one, and we'll move on to the next. I might have one more with regard to this. Okay, no. All right, so we're going to move on. Still related. We rode along with ICE in Minneapolis to show the coordinated effort to obstruct agents trying to arrest illegal immigrants across the city. Here's a glimpse of what we saw. The full documentary is going to be over on the Daily Wire.
Silver Volvo. These numbers keep increasing, right? Like over 1,000% increases in assaults against us. Like death threats have increased like 8,000%. You really can't even fathom those numbers.
Yeah, because the progressive left, they're in a brainwashed cult.
I want the resident 2 to 3 stay. How many out? Okay. Oscar?
There's bad back here, guys. We're surrounded back here. Hey, somebody hit the button. Somebody hit the button.
We're still getting followed.
That's the Volkswagen.
Who do you think ICE is arresting?
They're innocent citizens.
Brain dead. Absolutely brain dead. Okay. And the next from CBP, join us now for a joint press conference with ICE. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 37 minutes at least. Well, at most, I guess. Yeah, see, it looks like it didn't start right away, but...
was arrested over 10...
Let's see. All right, so I'll try to play at least the opening remarks. If it goes too long, then, actually, regardless, I'll go ahead and repost this. There's a direct link to my profile in the description below, or you can go to DHS.gov. It'll be over there as well. All right, so let's try to get this show started.
Thank you for joining us this morning as we keep the public current on the status of Operation Metro Surge. As you know, DHS has arrested over 10,000 illegal aliens in Minnesota in the past year and over 3,300 illegal aliens since we launched Operation Metro Surge on November 29th. But instead of discussing statistics, we're going to discuss it's important to know that there's a cost for everything, and the cost of Minnesota's sanctuary policies is steep. ICE is in the Twin Cities to remove criminal illegal aliens who have been released from jails and prisons despite the risks they pose to the public. The people we've arrested are here are not people you want living next door to your families, your children, your parents, or your best friends. They're criminals like Salvadorian criminal illegal alien Carlos Antonio Flores Miguel, an MS-13 gang member and registered sex offender with a final order of removal from 2021. He was deported 4 times and convicted of illegal entry twice, and was charged with strong-arm rape and resisting an officer. Despite being arrested in El Salvador for robbery, the Biden administration released him in the United States in 2022. When we arrested him, he punched and kicked our officers and even attempted to grab an officer's gun. I don't know if it's up there, but...
Come on, man. Good grief.
This is our jump. This is the people that these protesters are protecting. We also arrested St. Lucian criminal illegal alien Nelbert Joseph, who has 11 criminal convictions, including larceny, stolen vehicle offenses, and has a final order of removal in 2023.
Those are convictions, by the way.
We picked up Cuban criminal illegal alien Ivan Rodriguez Lopez, who has a final order of removal from
Democrats,
2018.
they like to say,
and
well,
was
they
convicted
haven't
of assault,
been
possession of methamphetamine,
put
theft,
through the
and
court
burglary.
system yet.
He also has prior charges for neglect or endangerment of a child and a DUI. These are the people protesters are protecting. We picked up Cuban criminal illegal alien. Oh, sorry, it's the wrong guy. Another one is the Laotian criminal illegal alien Yao Li, who was convicted of second-degree murder.
Convicted for second-degree murder, and they let him out?
And
Wonderful.
a Mexican criminal illegal alien, Pedro Laguna Cruz, who has multiple DUI convictions and a conviction of possession of controlled substance.
All right, so it's pretty much more of the same. There was a press conference I played yesterday, and I think actually the day before yesterday. And it's pretty much the same thing. They showed a lot of images and showing some of the worst that they've apprehended recently. And it wouldn't surprise me if all of these guys that he's showing were probably just within the last 24 hours. But anyway, I've already reposted that. It'll be in my profile if you want to click on that in the description below. And we'll move on to the next. Okay, so from next order, just in, a speedway near Minneapolis just kicked out Commander Bovino and his crew as they went in for snacks. Hey, Speedway, is it your policy to deny service to federal law enforcement officers? You're going to end up getting Bud Lighted. Fix this. And 1.6 million views, almost 100,000 likes so far. That is crazy. Posted, it looks like it was yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday.
Do you work here? Do you work here? Yeah. You guys kicked him out? What's your opinion on it? Why'd you kick him out?
Because I wanted to.
Okay.
We don't support ICE, and nobody here does. Neither do I.
And so he's not allowed service here.
Nope. We don't support ICE.
Commander Bovino, is it legal to deny service to federal agents?
If it is, I
All
probably
right, guess you don't want to talk. All right, so that happened. I don't know how Speedway's going to handle it. I have a feeling they're going to try to get ahead of that. I haven't heard anything. I can certainly check Speedway. And let's see if there's anything here. All right, April 21st. Certainly not. No, man, they haven't posted anything on here in months. Last thing they have is from April 21st of last year. So, yeah, it looks like their profile is pretty inactive on the X platform. So, not sure if they made any statement with regard to that. All right, let's see what my return is. Speedway issued a statement regarding Bovino being kicked out of a Speedway gas station this week. No, they have not issued any public statement regarding the incident where his team were denied service and asked to leave a Speedway gas station in Minneapolis. Okay, well, and then it just goes over what happened. All right, and yeah, we already checked Speedway's official account on this platform, and they haven't said anything. Still crickets. I don't know if they're going to get Bud Lighted or not, but, I mean, approaching 85,000 likes since yesterday. I mean, that's quite a lot. I guess we'll just see if that ends up picking up enough traction for people to start spreading that around. All right, so Right Angle News Network breaking: a Somalian in Minneapolis, Mubashir Hussein, claims he is suffering from life-altering PTSD after being detained by ICE and has started a GoFundMe asking for $50,000 to help with the quote-unquote trauma. Their daycares have been turned off, so now they are scamming liberals. Yeah, of course they're scamming liberals. They're quite easy to scam, I imagine.
I'm a 20-year-old U.S. citizen from Minneapolis, Minnesota. On December 10th, 2025, during my lunch break, I was violently arrested by federal immigration agents. I repeatedly told the agents that I'm a U.S. citizen and I had my ID and passport. Instead, the agents ignored my pleas and forced me to the ground and placed me in a headlock. The injuries and trauma from that day have stayed with me. Since that incident, I have experienced symptoms of PTSD, intense anxiety in public spaces, panic when I hear whistles, sirens, and
you
car
think this
horns,
guy already gets
trouble sleeping,
public assistance
stress,
and
emotional
including
exhaustion.
services such as mental health therapy
I
and
have also
counseling? Probably.
experienced ongoing physical pain and tension that started after my detention. I no longer feel safe in my community. My family has been affected by this as much as I have. They watch me come home drained and physically hurt. The fear that this could happen again has created constant stress and has changed our lives. I'm raising funds to support my recovery, including trauma-informed mental health therapy and counseling, medical care for stress-related symptoms and physical symptoms, basic living and recovery-related expenses while I focus on healing. If you are able to donate, I am...
All right, well, let's take a look and see how much he's raised as of now. Looks like not a whole lot. $1,378 have been raised of his $50,000. He's up 3% so far. So I don't know if he's going to get to 50,000 or not. I guess we'll just have to see. All right. FBI Director Kash Patel. Earlier this week, the FBI arrested a man in Oklahoma who was found to be threatening to kill ICE agents and other federal officers. That individual has now been charged. FBI Oklahoma City led the investigation with great work from partners HSIHQ and local authorities. And the press release, Oklahoma man charged with threatening on YouTube to kill federal agents and others. Quite interesting. And from FBI Director Kash Patel, by the way. Oh, you didn't post the link. I'm assuming that there's a link to this press release, but he didn't, or did he? No, he didn't. But that's all right. That's all right. I mean, we got the gist of it. All right, so libs of TikTok. This is absolutely wild. I cannot believe this actually hit the internet and it was taken by storm. It went viral. If you're not familiar with this guy, his name is Chance Wilkins, a.k.a. Cyrax from Akron, Ohio. He is what a lot of folks on the internet consider to be a lol cow, and he has been for a number of years. Matter of fact, I've been following his ongoing antics for at least a couple of years now. It is it's one of the deepest rabbit holes you could possibly imagine. So I would say proceed with caution because you could be caught up in it. And I don't even know where to start when describing this guy. I mean, he's an absolute monster. He's a child predator. He lives in Ohio, and they've got these ridiculous child predator laws where Chris Hansen, for instance, to catch a predator, they can't set up shop in Ohio because there's laws in Ohio where it has to be law enforcement who tried to capture these predators using the internet to lure them into a sting operation. So, but he has been catfished by internet. I don't know if you want to call them trolls or whatever, but they pose as minors on different platforms like on Facebook, Xbox Live, and they pose as a minor, and he takes the bait immediately. He starts, within 10 minutes, he's sending pictures of his genitalia to them and then telling them not to tell their parents because they'll get in trouble. That's the monster that Chance Wilkins really is. So anyway, this was on Libs of TikTok. It just completely blows my mind that, he is so done. It's about damn time. He was arrested back in 2023 because a protester showed up to his house, standing on the sidewalk holding up a sign that says Chance Wilkins is a PEDO. I can't say the full word here on YouTube, but he was holding up the sign. Chance Wilkins, a.k.a. Cyrax, comes out with a bat, swings the bat, hits him, doesn't injure him because he's a weak little man-child, and he ends up getting arrested for it. And the charges were eventually dropped because the protester didn't want to be identified because, again, this rabbit hole is way too deep for me to go into any more detail on it. He didn't want to be identified, and for good reason. But anyway, so on Libs of TikTok, Chance Wilkins is having a complete meltdown after we exposed him for threatening to shoot ICE agents. And then there's a quote that he says in the video. However, I'm gonna do this first one. This is the initial video from Libs of TikTok. Hi, FBI. This dude from Akron, Ohio is threatening to shoot ICE agents because he thinks they are quote unquote terrorists. Check this out.
To any ICE agent that thinks they're gonna come into my home and terrorize me and my family, you will be met with lethal force. I will kill on sight, and I will shoot to kill if need be. ICE agents are not allowed in my home. If you come into my home to terrorize my family, I will see you as a threat and I will kill you. Because you guys are terrorists. Bear in mind, I am very much armed.
Oh my God, he's
and
so
will
stupid.
do what I need to do to protect my family. I stand against ICE. Any ICE agents that show to my home to terrorize my family will be dealt with immediately.
He's just going to sit there like a fucking idiot. All right, so I don't know who put him up to this, where he read this from. I don't know if he came across some news article and he just went off. Chances are maybe somebody said, I don't even know. I have no idea, but he said it. There's another lolcow out there named Daniel Larson. He made terroristic threats to agents and threatening to like blow up government facilities. And he was arrested by the FBI, and he's not going to get out of prison anytime soon. I think he was found incompetent to stand trial. So I don't even know when his trial date's going to happen. But yeah, it looks pretty likely that Chance Wilkins is going to end up getting arrested. But yeah, like he likes to manipulate people by saying he was born insanely early. He only weighed like a pound, like 1 pound 10 ounces when he was first born, and that's why he looks quote unquote different. But I mean, he is a monster through and through. Just lives in filth, doesn't take care of himself. Like he only changes his shirt like once, like every 2 weeks, and I'm not exaggerating. He posts daily on Facebook, on YouTube. He's already been kicked off of Twitch because he uses racial slurs all the time. And he's just a walking, living nightmare. And I cannot believe that Chance Wilkins, aka Cyrax, has actually found its way onto my channel of all places. I mean, I stick to just, government affairs. I follow the swamp. I mean, how in the world he ended up here is it's just absolutely mind-boggling to me. So anyway, we got this follow-up video. So he posted this after Libs of TikTok posted this initial video. And I'm telling you, he's full on addicted to the internet. He's been trolled relentlessly. He's had his Xbox bricked. He's had his gaming computer bricked. It's just, like I said, man, it's a rabbit hole that goes almost infinitely deep. I mean, you'd have to spend probably thousands of hours to get caught up with regard to this dude's story. I mean, it's unbelievable. But all right, so anyway, here, let's give this a play.
What up, y'all? This is Chance.
He's a little mad at Libs of TikTok.
It's for Libs of TikTok, a.k.a. Shia, a.k.a. failed LA realtor, who felt like selling...
He's reading an AI chatbot. He tries to get his information from AI. He's also addicted to AI. He claims to be a music artist, except all the music that he has is all AI generated and stolen from other people.
Fucking shit from news.
And those are scabs on the top of his head, by the way.
Fucking valuable.
He picks his head for some reason.
Than actually real fucking work. So listen here, you dumb fucking bitch. You got this shit all motherfucking twisted. I'm about to untwist it for you. See, I am Chance. I'm the motherfucker that was in that red fucking tank top in that fucking video.
Yeah, I see you changed your shirt for a change.
Yeah, that's me. I was that dude that was in that tank top that you fucking posted about over on Twitter. What I said was this: if ICE were to engage my family and attempt to kill us, I would not hesitate to do what I needed to do to defend my family, and that ICE agents are actually considered a fucking terrorist group. They have literally taken innocent people, innocent families, and thrown them into fucking camps. Wake the fuck up, you dumb fucking liberal broad. Granted, I'm not into
liberal
politics, but just going by your fucking name,
yeah, no
you
shit.
sound like a fucking idiot. Like, seriously, you're fucking stupid, bro. So, to Libs of TikTok, fuck you. And fuck your goddamn bullshit. You ain't shit. You ain't ever gonna be shit. See, you're below me, bitch. I'm a fucking worldwide known name, bitch. I'm up here. You're down here. You ain't on God mode level, bitch. You ain't on my level of fame. You will never be on this level of being a fucking god. Because you ain't shit.
All right, so that's it. He's had the police visit his house well over 100 times. There's body cam footage out there, lots of body cam footage out there, including a conversation that an officer had with the landlord where he lives. He lives with his grandmother, but he calls her mom. I'm telling you, man, it's absolutely just unreal. So there's a police officer on body cam talking to the landlord, and he explained to the landlord that the police have been called to their house 113 times just in the last 2 years. And the system that Akron police use, their mobile system that they use, was upgraded about 2 years prior. So the calls prior to 2 years ago are not in the system. So realistically, the police have been called over 200 times to his house. Anytime he sees somebody that he thinks is suspicious walking down the street, he calls the cops. Or whenever he's making a live stream and he threatens somebody, people who watch the live stream, they'll call the police and call for a welfare check because he threatened somebody. Or like it's been, like I said, it's been well over 200 times. Tons of body cam footage out there to back that up. And he believes he's immune from prosecution because they show up dozens and dozens and dozens of times and they never arrest him. He's only been arrested twice. The first time he was arrested was in 2012 for strangling his grandmother, and they arrested him for that. And he got arrested in 2023 for swinging that bat. And so he really thinks that he's immune from all this. Like nothing's going to come of this. And I've only spent just probably 5 minutes looking on X. He was trending yesterday on X at like number 12. And so it's not just libs of TikTok posting about him. There's tons of people posting about him right now. And his big thing is that he's been getting trolled for like the last 7 or 8 years, relentlessly trolled. And it's well deserved because he's a human monster. And he just doesn't understand that this can of worms that he just opened. I mean, he essentially just, clobbered the MAGA hornet's nest, for lack of a better way to put it. And and plus he's going to probably get arrested by the FBI also. Anyway, speaking of which, I did ask Grok to see if it could give me a little bit of insight on that. It says that, so it first said he was arrested, but it took information from his 2023 arrest. So he hasn't been arrested as of right now. I'm sure the FBI is investigating. So anyway, let me see where this was. So, okay. So based on the info that Grok has compiled on Chance Wilkins, how likely do you believe that he's going to be arrested? And it says the likelihood that Chance Wilkins will face arrest specifically for the recent threats against ICE agents appears moderately high. I'd estimate between 50 and 70% chance in the coming weeks or months, though it's not guaranteed or imminent based on current public info. And here's why. The threats qualify as serious federal offenses, such as saying lethal force, kill on sight, shoot to kill. And it references 18 U.S.C. Section 115, also 18 U.S.C. Section 875, subsection C. And then it goes into high visibility and amplification because the video went viral. Accounts like Libs of TikTok, and they tagged the FBI. So obviously they're going to have eyes on him now. And he also has a prior history, which, like I said, he was arrested twice in the past. Both for violent acts, swinging a baseball bat and strangling his grandmother. Counterpoints, lowering the certainty. So it gets into that stuff too. Plus, he's got mental health issues, although I don't think he's been formally diagnosed with anything. He never leaves the house. He went to like the shopping mall a few weeks ago because the trolls lured him out there, and he got stranded out there for a couple hours, and it was a whole big debacle. Absolutely hilarious. But prior to that, I don't think he left the house once in like 2 years. So anyway, so yeah, that's the latest. I mean, I could go on and on about this dude, but yeah, I just don't have time. I got a lot of stuff to get to. It's so crazy to see him like just in my feed like this. So Chance Wilkins said, if you come into my house, is that good enough to be considered a threat against agents, even though local police definitively know he does not house illegal immigrants? Yes, the phrase, if you come into my house, or a similar wording, if you come into my home and terrorize me and my family, can still qualify as a criminal threat under federal law, even if it's conditional, and even if local police know that Chance Wilkins does not house undocumented immigrants. The full context from the viral video shared and quoted across social media and posts includes explicit statements like, which we already saw. So it goes beyond a mere hypothetical or defensive claim. Courts evaluate threats under statutes like the ones that we already went over. And then it cites cases like Virginia versus Black and Watts versus United States, whether a reasonable person would interpret it as a serious expression of intent to harm, not just protected free or political hyperbole. And anyway, it goes on from there. Actually gives like quite a bit of information. So I'm definitely going to be looking into that closely because, I mean, I don't follow his antics every single day. I'm kind of in and out with the whole Cyrax verse, but usually I usually watch something on YouTube directly related to him at least once a week. And I mean, hell, this, like I said, this has all been going on for like 7 years, 8 years. But I only jumped into it. There's a prominent YouTuber named Turkey Tom. He does like internet-related documentaries, and he covered one on Cyrax a few years ago. And that's when I first discovered him, and I've been pretty hooked on it ever since, regretfully. But yeah, I'm on YouTube a lot. It's like there's always updates with that, dickhead. It's always in my YouTube feed. So anyways, all right, so I'll just go ahead and move on to the DOJ Inspector General from 11 hours ago. We looked at how the Maryland Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Policy used over $2.3 million in DOJ grant funds. We identified $151,603 in question costs related to unsupported and unallowable victim compensation payments. And you can learn more at oig.justice.gov. And okay, so they just have a little bit of info here. So an audit of the Office of Justice Programs victim compensation grants awarded to the Maryland Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Policy in Crownsville, Maryland, January 22nd. The report number, I don't know why there's not any other information here. But anyway, the cost in question is $151,000. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's the report. It is a lengthy one, 31 pages in total. So I guess if you're interested enough or if you're bored enough, that'll be linked below if you want to have a look at that. And heading on to the next. So House Judiciary GOP, 12 facts about Jack Smith that they decided to share today. And again, it's a lot of information. I won't read every word of it. Again, I will repost it, but I'll read a few just to get it started. So there are 12 essential facts about former special counsel Jack Smith's investigation of what he has testified to the committee to date. Smith continued and continues to depart from precedent set by other special counsels by asserting a person's guilt without a jury verdict. Smith violates the fundamental tenet of the American legal system of innocent until proven guilty. Smith imputed guilt to President Trump partially because of who advised the president at the relevant times, implying that only experts, in Smith's view, should be briefing the president. Smith seems to believe that he is an arbiter of who may counsel a president. Smith stated he was deeply involved in the details of his office's investigation, but when probed, Smith said he could not recall basic investigative steps that his team took. Smith conceded that he approved of several actions and procedural moves that were highly irregular. Smith approved toll record subpoenas for members of Congress without regard for whether the private communications were constitutionally protected. When asked who bears the burden of this abuse, Smith blamed President Trump for the prosecution's unconstitutional conduct. Smith sought Speaker McCarthy's private toll records to corroborate evidence his office already possessed. In other words, he had no need for the records, but sought them because he could a flagrant abuse of the prosecutor's duty to do justice. Smith confirmed that his prosecutors did not tell judges signing gag orders for the subpoenas that the special counsel's office was seeking records from members of Congress. Smith chose to target President Trump and only President Trump in his elector's case, setting aside other targets so that he could secure an indictment of President Trump in advance of the election. Although Smith wanted to prevent President Trump from commenting on the case, Smith could not articulate a specific harm concretely traceable to anything President Trump said about the case. Smith testified that partisan January 6th Select Committee star witness Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony was unreliable and contradicted by other witnesses with better knowledge. Smith declined to initiate an independent investigation into serious allegations that his top aide, Jay Bratt, threatened a defense counsel to entice his cooperation with the prosecution, instead asking two other deputies to do an internal review of their peer. Smith testified that at his direction, his team asked for and received the partisan January 6th Select Committee's evidence gathered during his politically motivated inquiry. Jack Smith will testify before the House Judiciary Committee today, January 22nd, of course, today being Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And you could watch live right here. So let's take a look. It's over here on YouTube. It's 5.5 hours. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to catch it today, but it is going to pop up on my YouTube now, so I might actually watch some of this tomorrow. But anyway, of course, as always, everything I click on, I link. So this will be below if you want to take a look at the oversight hearing of the Office of Special Counsel Jack Smith. It should be a banger, because they pointed out some pretty damning points here in these bullet points. All right, moving on to Chairwoman Lisa McClain. Outrageous. Why are the Democrats lying and saying that removing scammers from taxpayer-paid health insurance is going to raise costs? Why, indeed.
We're only going to try to get those that are scamming the system by creating overburdened administrative requirements. But we've argued all along that doing that's going to raise costs for everybody.
Dude, they're scamming. I mean, if they have no lawful basis for obtaining funds or if they're lying in order to obtain those funds. I believe that's kind of fraudulent. All right, so Energy and Commerce Committee watch ranking member Pallone shows who House Democrats really care about: massive health insurance companies, not the American people. Democrats are citing health insurance companies over middle-class American families who are struggling to afford basic health care.
So I appreciate the opportunity to hear from the executives of our nation's largest health insurance companies today. This is not your fault. This is the Republicans' fault. It's not your fault. Don't let them
It's Obamacare's
drag you
fault,
in here
asshole.
and blame you for what's going on. It's not your fault.
Well, and what's hilarious about this is that AOC herself actually grills the insurance companies that are right here, which you've got the ranking member saying, it's not your fault. You're just poor, innocent insurance companies. You know, it's not like that I get any campaign contributions from big pharma or from big health insurance companies or big medical providers or the likes of, you know, like maybe CVS and other major corporations. All right, so we're going to go to the next one from AOC herself. Healthcare monopolies on patient care screw over working families and destroy your ability to access affordable care. So corporate CEOs like those from CVS Health can pad their pockets. We must break up big medicine. We need a Glass-Steagall for health care. And let's have a look at this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And apologies if we have to move quickly here due to the time. Thank you to all of our witnesses for coming here today. Mr. Joyner, you are the CEO of CVS Health, correct?
Correct.
And I actually don't know how many Americans know this, but CVS Health owns Aetna, the health insurance company, correct?
Correct.
And CVS, which owns Aetna, also owns Oak Street Health Medical Clinics, correct?
Interesting.
Yes, it does.
I didn't know that.
And in addition to that, they own, of course, CVS Pharmacies, and CVS Health also owns CVS Caremark, the pharmacy benefit manager, which helps negotiate some of these rebates and prescription prices, correct?
Look, even Amazon.com, they distribute pharmaceuticals now. You can get your prescription medications filled on Amazon now, for crying out loud.
That's correct.
And CVS Caremark processes nearly 30% of all prescriptions in a given year. And so, in other words, CVS Caremark helps determine the prices that patients pay for a third of all prescriptions in the U.S.
Yeah,
in
man,
fact,
that's dirty, man.
I was following one of CVS's investor calls where they really laid out quite clearly what this means if you are a patient. This is what's known as a captive strategy. And CVS, in the investor call, used the example themselves of a patient known as Kate. Kate has an Aetna health insurance plan right here, and which is owned by CVS Health. She then goes to a CVS pharmacy. She's connected to an Oak Street Health medical clinic. She sees a doctor at Oak Street Health who prescribes her medication. And then she goes to fill that prescription at a CVS pharmacy. So the price Kate pays for that medication is dictated by Aetna, CVS Caremark, and they also own the drug manufacturer Cordavis. Mr. Joyner, this is quite a bit of market concentration. Wouldn't you agree?
Duh.
No, I wouldn't agree that it's market concentration. I would
Sounds
suggest
like
it's a model that works really well for the consumer.
Yeah,
It's just
I think
convenience,
it works very
you know?
well for CVS. I think, in fact, you all said on the call that you all call it a fully engaged member. It's great marketing there.
Now, look, I would probably assume, or I would assume that a patient can go, you know, through this process, but they probably don't have to fill their prescription at CVS. They could probably just go fill it anywhere, really.
Fully engaged member.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I
unlocks
mean,
sizable
Aetna
value
is wrapped
for
up in all this.
payers and CVS Health. So the health insurance gets a cut, the pharmacy benefit manager gets a cut, the drug manufacturer gets a cut, and
The doctor,
the patient
probably.
gets screwed. I think the Federal Trade Commission has also found that.
Look, it's not just the patient getting screwed, it's the entire system getting screwed because they can, it sounds like they could kind of set prices to whatever they want and they're going to bill them. But look, like if Aetna's wrapped up in all this, I mean, like I don't see how it would be beneficial, well, unless they're getting government subsidy money or they're getting Obamacare money. which I don't know. I seriously doubt that AOC is going to get into that because, that's the Democrats' darling child, Obamacare. So I don't know,
Healthcare
man.
conglomerates like CVS
I definitely
Health
see that being an issue,
charge
though.
more for medications filled at their pharmacies. We're talking about 1,000% markups on medications for cancer and HIV. And, I think this is actually an interesting point of
Is it supply and demand? Maybe.
of common ground that I may have with some of our Republican colleagues here in this hearing. Because whether you're a blue-blooded capitalist or a card-carrying democratic socialist, I think corporate monopolies are a problem. And this vertical integration
Obamacare made this a big problem.
destroying people's
I would
ability to access
almost certainly
care. I don't think
stand behind.
we're seeing this across the board. And if they can self-deal, I saw something that was interesting from the opening statement of Mr. Hemsley from United Health talking about how much United spends, what was it, 85% on care, Mr. Hemsley? Approaching 90%. But the ACA forces you all to spend a decent amount of that on subsidies on care.
Yeah, the ACA, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. So she made a vague reference to Obamacare, but ACA is Obamacare.
But when you own the care, when the insurer owns
which is a
the
problem.
pharmacy, owns the PBM, owns the drug manufacturer, you also own the healthcare cost. You own a big chunk of the healthcare cost. And so,
Yeah, what'd she say, 30%?
100 years ago, we had this type of market concentration in our banks. And we did something about it when it crashed the economy. And we passed the Glass-Steagall Act. We should be considering that in our healthcare
Make the same
system.
argument for places like Amazon,
And
probably, too.
if we believe in competition, I think we
Google.
should put our votes
It was like
and our
85% of the
legislation
internet
in
flows through
alignment with
Google.
that and consider
Why don't we break them
breaking
up?
this industry in order to allow the competition that prevents this kind of vertical integration and abuse of power. And with that, I yield back.
Look, I have a feeling that like an expert in this industry could probably tear all that to shreds. I don't know, maybe not. I think that Obamacare, like if Obamacare didn't exist, if there was no healthcare subsidies or health insurance subsidies or anything that's being funded by the government, I mean, I don't know how this would be a major problem because, like if Aetna is kind of the umbrella above it all, like at least being the health insurer, I mean, they're not going to want to jack up costs because they have to pay for the costs. However, if they jack up the costs and that patient's subsidized by Obamacare, well, that benefits them greatly now, doesn't it? All right, so that happened, and I think that might be the last thing I have on healthcare. Maybe I got one more. Okay, yeah, that's it. So we're going to pivot over to President Trump being the deal maker in chief. Let's see what they're talking about over here.
In focus now, Tommy Pigott, State Department spokesperson. Great to have you. First of all, we're learning more and more. So what can you tell us that is unfolding right now on this? And you just heard for the first time the foreign minister now talking about, yeah, this is a good deal. Peter Doocy said she looked a little nervous from Greenland, wondering what was coming.
Well, the real winners here are the American people, are the security of our alliance. What we saw is President Trump identifying a problem, a real problem, and taking steps to address it in only the way that President Trump can. He is truly showing that he is the deal maker in chief. And what we're seeing are efforts to enhance the NATO alliance, enhance the security of Greenlanders, enhance the security of the United States. That is something that only President Trump could have delivered. And he's truly making this argument about addressing these modern threats we all face and making us all safer.
Tommy, talk to me about the military component of this, though, because it's two-pronged. It's that and it's also rare earth. And I will get to the rare earth in a moment.
Well, Trump said
but
that
just the
military ain't going
when
to Greenland.
He took that military force off the table. It
not
seemed
yet.
to shift
Oh, yeah,
things
see,
a
there
little
you go.
bit. Did that make the deal easier?
Well, I think ultimately what made the deal possible is President Trump. And President Trump has a suite of options, and he keeps those options open until he decides to rule them out. And ultimately what we saw over the last couple days, weeks, really going back to the beginning of this administration, is the art of the deal in action. This is something that presidents have wanted to see happen for many, many decades.
Yes.
And President Trump is actually taking steps to make it happen. It's a credit to his leadership. It's also a credit to the vision he has to address problems before they become problems.
Well, and another thing, like my first question when this whole talk about Greenland came up was, well, what's the price tag going to look like? I mean, what are they going to? Are we going to pay like $200, $300, $400, $500 billion just to get Greenland? But I don't think that there's a dollar figure attached to this at all because he keeps mentioning NATO. and the countless billions, maybe even over $1 trillion that we've spent on NATO in probably decades, I would imagine. So I know that he made our support and our spearheading of NATO, I would say, a big talking point with regard to getting access to Greenland. But I guess my only other question would be, is that if they were to give Trump exactly what he wants, would that make Greenland a full-on U.S. territory, or are we just at this point just looking to have quote-unquote full access into Greenland? I don't know.
President Trump's really putting us on
I
a
guess
great
we'll
footing
get more
here and
details
making
on
sure
that
our
as it
security
plays
is
out.
truly enhanced.
Yeah, well, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Alaska Purchase, Greenland was originally part of that. That part of the deal didn't hold together. And so all these decades later, we see what we see now. Greenland is the 8th place in the world
Russia owned
when
Greenland?
it comes to
No,
the
they didn't.
reserves of the rare earth minerals needed to create and operate technology.
I'm not saying it was
pretty
part
much
of the deal. I'm sure it was.
Most of those reserves are still untapped in Greenland. The Arctic nation is home to key minerals needed for consumer electronics, defense systems, medical devices, advanced computing, and clean energy. This is a critical part of that deal. Tommy, talk more.
Well, ultimately, this is about access. This is about access for the United States. It's about access from a military perspective. It's about access from a perspective
the clock's ticking.
from those critical minerals. These are part of all
Got
the
less than a
concerns
year
that
to
President
secure all
Trump
these minerals
laid out
around the
really from
world
the beginning of this
before China
administration.
starts
talking about those critical
bottlenecking
minerals,
these
talking
rare
about
earths.
the encroachment of our adversaries onto Greenland, talking about the defense of Greenland, the NATO alliance, our defense, modern threats, the Arctic, the list goes on. He's been identifying these threats, and what we're seeing here is President Trump addressing these threats and also identifying opportunities that can make us all prosperous. That's the art of the deal in action, and President Trump is showing, once again, why he's the deal maker in chief.
So is it time to hit the shores of Greenland as Americans? I mean, they don't have a lot of infrastructure there yet. Does our footprint in those small areas that I understand from the potential deal that's coming, we will have control over small footprints, probably near military bases? Talk to me about that.
Well, as President Trump said, details on this will be forthcoming, and I don't want to get ahead of the president. And as
I'm
these
looking
discussions
forward
are
to it,
being
man.
finalized.
I want to know
But again, I think it's important to
in
stress
store.
the context here of President Trump identifying this problem. Everyone saying a deal wasn't possible, don't bring this up, ignore this. President Trump saying, no, I'm not going to ignore this threat to our security. I'm not going to ignore the opportunities. He's having these hard conversations. And the people to have these hard conversations with are our security partners. So we're seeing President Trump in action, once again putting America first. But when he puts America first, that actually helps the NATO alliance. It helps everyone in terms of our security and prosperity.
Talk to me about the Board of Peace, if you can. 25, upwards of 25 members now.
Well, this is something that came out of the Gaza ceasefire deal that was announced. Unprecedented global coalition that was put together by President Trump that saw the release of hostages, that saw humanitarian assistance entering Gaza in a way that wasn't being looted by Hamas. And so what we see now is President Trump building on this unprecedented global coalition, trying to see the implementation of peace and prosperity, making sure that we're seeing these peace deals put into action. President Trump, who has negotiated 8 peace deals around the world in just a year, an unprecedented advancement of peace. We're seeing this Board of Peace being an effort to see that long-term peace and prosperity. So a really historic announcement that we saw in Davos here, building on the huge momentum.
Hey, Javier
the global
Milei was there.
coalition
I didn't notice that.
President Trump has put together.
Yeah, I'm looking down
President
at
of
my notes.
Argentina,
It has been
huge Trump supporter,
103
big Trump
days
fan.
since Israel and Hamas, the ceasefire agreement came into place. And of course, we've seen some bubbling up, and the president and the Secretary of State Rubio have said, you know, that can happen, but the peace is holding, the ceasefire is holding. And so that is a huge
so far so
development
good, I
in all
guess.
of this. It is great to have you on the program, Tom.
Well, yeah, well, with regard to Gaza, I mean, like the next step in that 20-point process is to disarm Hamas. And are they really going to disarm? I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think Egypt is largely going to oversee that. I guess we'll just have to see if that happens. President Trump gave like a timetable of something like the next couple of days, or at the most a couple of weeks before they have to potentially move in with the heavies. And I guess we'll just have to wait. All right, some from the White House, just simply MAGA. And this was posted from Donald Trump's Truth Social account, and it says how it started and how it's going. Person of the Year on Time Magazine. And we got another one from the White House. She got a refresh, and that would be Marine One. Honestly, at first glance, I don't really know notice anything different. Like new coat of paint, maybe. What's it? No, it was dark green. I think. I don't know. Like just, I don't know. I'm thinking it was dark blue, but no, I think it was already dark green. I don't know. Here, let me see if there's anything else that they added to it. or maybe even in the oh yeah, okay, here we go. I was gonna say maybe the comments will tell me, but anyway, we got this from the White House. So under President Donald Trump's second administration, the United States, oh, come on. Hold on, let me X out of this. I like to zoom in case anybody's watching this from their phone or any small device, if you want to follow along. All right, so under President Donald Trump's second administration, the U.S. has surged into a new era of prosperity marked by record-setting economic growth and trillions of new private sector investments, so on and so forth. Let me take a look. Where is it, man? I want to hear like what's up with this refresh? What's going on? I mean, is it not just specific to Marine One? I mean, we got Make America Healthy Again, Unleash American Energy, Strengthen National Security. Was I just clickbaited? I think the White House just clickbaited me. All right. Anyway, so that'll be linked if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, apparently Marine One looks different. Just off the top of my head, I don't notice anything substantially different with Marine One. Maybe a new coat of paint, most likely. All right, so Rep. Andy Biggs, everybody needs to listen to this. House Republicans never forget how the Democrats have tried to destroy President Trump. Watch as Rep. Jim Jordan perfectly explains the Russia hoax.
It all started in 2016 when they spied on his campaign. The Clinton campaign hired the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired the public relations firm Fusion GPS, who hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, to put together the fake dossier.
Paid him millions of
bunch
dollars,
of garbage
too.
in that document, but that was used by Jim Comey's FBI.
Hillary Clinton was wrapped up in that, too.
He was the guy who just last year was strolling along the beach when the good Lord had the waves wash up on shore seashells in the formation of 8647. That guy took that dossier to the FISA court, lied to the court, and then spied on the other party's campaign.
Yep.
This, of course, led to the Mueller
No
investigation.
accountability. Not
Two
yet.
and a half years, 19 lawyers, 40 agents, $30 million to find nothing. No conspiracy, no coordination whatsoever.
Oh, no, we found conspiracies. We found coordination. It wasn't from Trump, though. It was from the fucking Democrats. It was from the Democrats, the deep state, everybody wrapped up in the establishment. I mean, we found a lot of collusion going on with them, but nothing from President Trump, though, of course. All right, House Foreign Affairs Committee majority. For years, international responses to political violence in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda were weak and indifferent. Thanks to President Trump, the response is now strong and sustained. Ensuring both countries uphold the Washington Accords is key to lasting peace.
My engagement in supporting peace between Rwanda and DRC spans more
This is
than
a bit
3
long,
decades,
so I'll just give it a minute or
focus on
two.
the immediate aftermath of the 1994 Rwandan genocide. We even had hearings here with people because, unfortunately, the international
If you've seen the
community
movie Hotel
failed,
Rwanda, it's about that.
especially Kofi Annan, who
Great movie.
was the head of security. He got the General Dallaire memo about what was about to happen in Rwanda, and nothing was done, and we had people testify on that. So it's been a long-standing
It was like over 1 million
concern.
people were
It's been
killed.
bipartisan, so I'm happy that we're having this hearing today. We are working, of course, on trying to see faithful implementation of the Washington Accords for peace and prosperity. This skillfully and brilliantly brokered peace deal signified a new era in the region, one where peace through strength is brought to bear to end the lengthy, bloody, and costly conflict. Bringing both parties to negotiate at the same table was historic in and of itself. The first time in modern history where such progress has been made on this conflict. The deals agreed to will secure extraordinary benefits, if faithfully implemented, for the DRC, for Rwanda, and for the United States. Ensuring that all sides follow through on the commitments made at the signing in December is not only in the U.S. national interest, but most importantly, really, for the millions of people who suffer in the war, for future generations of Congolese and Rwandan children, and for the memory of the 6 million dead from this decades-long conflict.
Wow,
a
6
human
million.
toll that is both staggering and intolerable. Over the course of the last several years, I've chaired 11 hearings that have focused exclusively on the political crisis and violence in the DRC and Rwanda. Regrettably, each hearing has revealed that the international community and the U.S. response has been half-hearted and perhaps even indifferent, especially in the face of such violence, tragedy, and suffering.
Yeah,
Today,
a lot of
things are
people just
changing.
don't care.
And under President Trump and his
tragedy.
cabinet's leadership in the response is strong, sustained, and I believe it will be durable. I believe that the signing of the Washington Accords in such a public way, just down a few blocks, and I was there for that, along with Chairman Mast and others, it brings gravity to the commitments of the leaders of the DRC and Rwanda. And this hearing today is a message about the seriousness, this committee, this full committee, of course, there's great care there, and of course, and the full Congress, House and Senate, to those commitments.
Okay, so if you want to watch the rest of his opening statement, I will also repost that. Again, link in the description below. Direct link to my profile. It'll be up there near the top if you decide to head over to that. Or you can go to House Foreign GOP. It will be there also. It was posted just today, 4:35 p.m. So it was just a few hours ago, at least as of this recording. And you can get some more info on that because that happened today. In the U.S. State Department Near Eastern Affairs, the U.S. applauds Iraqi leadership on ISIS. So Iraq, they are taking a stance against ISIS. The U.S. welcomes the government of Iraq's initiative to detain ISIS terrorists in secure facilities in Iraq following recent instability in northeast Syria. The U.S. appreciates the Iraqi government's leadership and supports this bold initiative to ensure that ISIS terrorists cannot roam freely throughout the region. As a member of the coalition to defeat ISIS, Iraq is on the front line in confronting the threat that ISIS still poses to all countries. Non-Iraqi terrorists will be in Iraq temporarily. The United States urges countries to take responsibility and repatriate their citizens in these facilities to face justice. This is a critical part of a long-term framework to prevent an ISIS resurgence in line with proper burden sharing among coalition members. And we'll head on to the next House Foreign Affairs Committee majority. The U.S. Embassy in Haiti. Quote, the U.S. objective for Haiti remains the establishment of baseline security and stability. The U.S. would regard any effort to change the composition of the government by the non-elected TPC at this late stage in its tenure to be an effort to undermine that objective and as such null and void. The U.S. would consider anyone supporting such a disruptive step favoring the gangs to be acting contrary to the interests of the United States, the region, and the Haitian people, and will act accordingly. And they're responding to U.S. Embassy in Haiti. And, okay, so these are just, looks like same statement, different languages, maybe? Yeah, I'm just double checking to see if that's the same or not. So this is translated from Haitian Creole. U.S. objective for Haiti remains the establishment of a minimal level of security and stability. Any attempt by the unelected Presidential Transition Council, or TPC, to change the composition of the government at this very advanced stage of its mandate, the United States would consider it a maneuver to undermine that objective, and therefore it would be null and void. The U.S. would consider that any person who supports such a destabilizing initiative, which favors the gangs, would be acting against the interests of the U.S., the region, and the Haitian people, and will take appropriate measures accordingly. And so the U.S. objective for Haiti remains the establishment of baseline security and stability. The U.S. would regard any effort to change the composition of the government by the non-elected TPC at this late stage in its tenure to be an effort to undermine that objective and null and void. The U.S. would consider anyone supporting such a disruptive step favoring the gangs to be acting contrary to the interests of the U.S., the region, and the Haitian people, and will act accordingly. So basically the same statement twice. All right, heading to the next thing. I mean, hopefully it'll be a smooth transition. You know, in case you didn't know, which I didn't know, there's like a million things going on all at the same time. But yeah, Haiti looks like they're in their process of restructuring their government. All right, so Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Focused, efficient, accountable. CISA delivers real security outcomes for the American people by protecting financial systems, safeguarding pipelines, and strengthening the digital and physical infrastructure Americans rely on. As CISA ADIR Gatumukala's testimony. I'm sure I probably butchered his name, but this is a little clip of it.
And Secretary Nom's guidance, CISA remains committed to being a focused, efficient, and accountable agency, one that executes the mission Congress assigned and delivers real security outcomes for the American people.
Okay, well, that was it. All right. I mean, that was hardly a clip. It was like a 5-second, real short statement. All right, so Jay Bhattacharya, MD, PhD, the NIH director. Thanks to Ben Shapiro for having me on his show to discuss the big step NIH took today to ban the use of human fetal tissue from elected abortion.
Let's talk about the scientific value here. So you say, obviously, and so does the administration, that the use of aborted fetal tissue is now largely unnecessary. We have alternative methods for doing this. Obviously, opponents of the policy are suggesting that something terrible is happening scientifically, that research that would have been happening is no longer going to be done, that there will be medical gains that we have to forego because of all of this. What is the scientific case that that's false?
Well, first, I'd ask them to look at the actual policy, right? So someone who's had a miscarriage and then wants to, do a meaningful thing with that, and they donate the tissue from the miscarriage to science. That's
mean the
still
baby?
allowed, right? So this is the only ban is on you have an abortion specifically to have to terminate the baby, and then then the tissue then gets sold. That's what's being banned, not all human fetal tissue.
Okay. I mean, well, it's good that that's being banned so that they can't, essentially do abortions for lack of a better word, profit. All right. HHS, 5 hours ago, a real look at the differences between my plate and the 2020 dietary guidelines versus the 2026 new dietary guidelines. And it looks like it's going to be quite a bit, so I won't go through all of it. I mean, I will go ahead and repost this, but I mean, it goes over protein, goes over some fats, some dairy, and some carbs. And again, like it says my plate, and then it says the new DGA. And so highly processed foods and added sugars, microbiome, and special populations and considerations, and alcohol. So for women, up to a drink a day, men up to 2 drinks a day. Some men get to drink more than women. I'm sure that the liberals will not be too happy to hear that. So thank you for your attention to this matter, and I will repost that. Also, you can have a look at that. That's over on HHS.gov. And next up, NASA HQ photo. For this episode, and only this one so far, this is not the last post. I got the weather updates that's coming after this. So NASA HQ photo. On our day of remembrance, we pause to honor all members of the NASA family who have perished in the pursuit of exploration, including the crews of Apollo 1, Challenger, and Columbia. NASA remembers images from today at Arlington National Cemetery. And looks like is that on Flickr? Oh, wow. I haven't seen Flickr in forever. So yeah, they've got images over on Flickr. I guess Flickr's still a thing. But yeah, so they posted images of that ceremony. I mean, that looks like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, though. Yeah, that is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Okay, well, anyway, they linked it. So there you go. And yeah, I still remember when the Columbia disaster happened. I remember waking up and seeing that on the news. So it was a big tragedy. It was awful. All right, so energy dominance financing, real savings for the American people. The Department of Energy and EDF are restructuring or eliminating over $83 billion in loans and unconditional commitments, representing over 80% of the Biden-era loan portfolio. Let's go, man. Calling back all that wasteful spending from the EDF Office of Energy Dominance Financing 2025 year in review, and looking forward to 2026. Overturning Biden-era energy subtraction policy, EDF has eliminated $9.5 billion in government-subsidized intermittent wind and solar projects and is instead replacing them where possible with affordable, reliable, and secure energy sources. Thanks to the president's Working Families Tax Cut, EDF has expanded eligibility criteria and more available loan authority to unleash American energy dominance. And that's from energy.gov. That'll be linked below, too. The letter from leadership, EDF 2025 year in review, and looking forward to 2026. One more. And we've got the weather updates. I think that's what I'm going to finish up on. So NWS Weather Prediction Center, over 160 million Americans are under winter hazards associated with the impending major winter storm. Disruptive snowfall is likely from the southern Rockies to the northeast, including dangerous ice from the Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas region to the southern mid-Atlantic. Here are the latest key messages, and it talks about the high-impact, far-reaching winter storm. A significant long-duration winter storm is threatening over 160 million Americans with widespread heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain from the southern Rockies to New England, lasting from Friday through Monday. Extremely cold air will follow, prolonging dangerous travel and infrastructure impacts into next week. So once that ice falls, which is highlighted here in red, sounds like once all of it falls and accumulates, that a cold winter blast is going to head in and probably keep that ice on the ground for a while. So widespread heavy snow, catastrophic ice accumulation. That's going to affect the southern plains, lower Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, the southeast, and southern Virginia. Also extended impacts they go over. In the wake of the storm, communities from the southern plains and the northeast will contend with bitterly cold temperatures and dangerously cold wind chills. This will prolong hazardous travel and infrastructure impacts into next week. Preparations should be completed as soon as possible and forecasts closely monitored for updates. And this isn't snowfall accumulation. This is just the percentage chance of at least moderate snow and ice impact. So it's a virtual certainty for a lot of the country. Looks like the worst is going to happen like up on the Atlantic coast, like New Jersey, D.C., Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Yeah, they're going to get hit pretty hard. And from what I heard, I think some of this has already started to happen. And I've got this from NHTSA Gov. Buckle up. A winter storm is forecasted to deliver damaging ice and heavy snow. Stay home if you can, but if you must venture out, make sure you're prepared. And they've got the image winter storm. What to know? Stay home unless you must travel. Buckle up. Plan your route and prepare your vehicle. You know, of course, check your tires, your wipers, fluid lights, cooling system. Definitely check your coolant. I drive a much older car. My car, it's 27 years old, so I always keep a bottle of coolant and oil in my car just in case. You just never know. Be cautious around turns and on bridges. There may be ice on bridges. In snow, freezing rain, give yourself more time. Increase following distance. Go easy on the gas and use low beam headlights. Don't use the cruise control. And don't crowd the snowplows. And if you get stuck, stay with your car until help arrives. And, you know, of course, pack your emergency kit. Get your blanket and all your provisions. Make sure you got food, you know, stuffed underneath your seat, like, I don't know, Pop-Tarts and breakfast bars, stuff like that. Alabama EMA, heat your home safely by using these do's and don'ts of space heater safety. For space heater safety, plug in your space heater directly into the wall outlet and keep your space heater at a safe distance, at least 3 feet from kids, pets, and flammable items. Buy a unit with an automatic shutoff in case it tips over on you or you forget to shut it off. Don't use an extension cord and don't place your space heater near curtains, clothing, furniture, or bedding. Leave your space heater or don't leave your space heater unattended. Always unplug it before you leave it. And NWS Weather Prediction Center, got a second one from them. Here are the latest key messages on the dangerous wind chills and bitterly cold temperatures that will move across the northern and central plains into the northeast over the next week. And it looks like wind chills, worst as usual, it's going to be up in Minnesota. Wind chills dropping down into the negative 50s. Looks like approaching even maybe flirting with negative 60. That is crazy. They don't even have my color because I'm in Tampa Bay, and they don't even have the green up here. So I'm sure it's going to get chilly. Actually, I think our lows in my area next week, it's going to drop to like the 40s. It's not going to be that bad. So, but yeah, man, like the dark blue is 0. I mean, anything beyond that, it's like what? Like pretty much from the southeast up, even in Dallas. Like Dallas is looking at negative 10 wind chill. That is crazy. And Oklahoma City in the negative 20 wind chill range. Same with Kansas City also. Washington's looking like it's in the negatives. So pretty much anything from dark blue, the purples, the whites, that's all negative, below 0 wind chills. That is wild. The risk of hazardous cold, January 29th through February the 4th. And they've got the regions marked. I know it's small if you're looking at this on a small screen. But anyway, I'll repost this too if you want to take a look at that. And again, that's on NWS Weather Prediction Center. And looks like one more from the U.S. Department of Energy. Energy Secretary prepares to unleash backup generation ahead of Winter Storm Fern. And who was it? Was it the Weather Channel? I think it was the Weather Channel that started naming these storms. I mean, I haven't lived anywhere near winter storms for a long time. Last time I saw snow was like 12, 13 years ago. But yeah, somewhere along the way, I think it's been at least 10, maybe 15 years at this point where they started naming these winter storms. I thought it was pretty cringy at first. But, you know, whatever they can do to dial up the drama. So Secretary Wright issues a letter to grid operators detailing how unused backup generation can keep the grid stable, as well as saving lives and lower costs during the upcoming winter storm. And it's a bit of a lengthy read. So I'll just read this first paragraph here. So the U.S. Department of Energy announced today it is prepared to take emergency action to prevent blackouts during Winter Storm Fern. In a letter today, the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, asked the nation's grid operators to maintain communication with the Department of Energy during the storm and be prepared to make backup generation of resources at data centers and other major facilities available as needed. DOE estimates that more than 35 gigawatts of unused backup generation remains available nationwide. So sounds like a lot. These actions could mitigate blackouts and reduce costs for potentially hundreds of millions of Americans during the winter storm. And yeah, I mean, it's not just the winter storm that's going to be the main problem. It's going to be the bitter cold that follows after it. I don't know if they're going to call it like a polar vortex. I know that word's been thrown around in the past. I don't know if that's what they're going to consider this, but I mean, maybe it will. So anyway, that is all I've got for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be dropping a new show tomorrow evening covering the swamp and everyone in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, and the agencies. And also I post daily on X, so feel free to comment there too if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.